Welcome, everyone, to the 209 Journey podcast. I'm your host, Luis Urbano, and today I am really excited to be presenting our fourth guest of this show. But before I present our guest, let me just ask one thing of everyone listening to this podcast. If you can, I would really appreciate if you're able to share this show with one friend. That would be amazing. And that would really help me out so much. Also, if you'd like to follow me on social media, you can find the show at the 209 Journey on Facebook and Twitter. Go check it out. I usually post when new episodes go up, and also I like to share anything going on around the 209. So if you're trying to think about what to do this weekend, then you can also find it on my social media there for this show. So please go check that out. Also, I might be doing live shows here shortly, so you definitely don't want to miss when those might be happening. And those are going to be happening on the Facebook and Twitter page. So if you follow already, then you'll be able to tune in there to the live shows. And if you don't, well, they will be saved on there on the social media pages as well. Also, if you're not subscribed to the podcast yet, I invite you to subscribe to this podcast. All the different platforms have different options to subscribe. Some call it follow, some actually do call it subscribe. And so look on your platform and you should be able to find one of those two names, or possibly a different name. But as far as I know, those two are common names across different platforms. So I invite you to check that out. So I invite you to subscribe now, so you're able to find out when I post new episodes. Most platforms are really good about notifying you when a new episode is up. And as I say in the past, and I'm getting better at it now, we are going to be having new episodes every Tuesday. So in the morning, when you are on your way to work, or when you are eating breakfast, then you'll be able to listen to the show right there in the morning on Tuesday. So thank you so much to everyone who listens to the show. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for helping me grow this podcast. So joining me today in our fourth podcast of the 209 Journey podcast is someone who is nicknamed the 209's Realtor. And I think, just recently, I think that there's been more revalidation to that, because he was voted best Realtor by the 209 magazine in their best of 209 issue of this year, along with doing real estate all across the state. In addition to our own area, he's also the general manager of Academica Soccer Club, a semi-professional soccer team located in Turlock, California. And if you haven't seen a game yet, highly recommend you check out one of their games sometime. They have a blast, and it's a really awesome soccer team there. But let's go ahead and introduce to the podcast, Michael Rocha. Welcome, Michael. How's it going?
It's going great, man. Thank you so much for having me on. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really glad to have you back on. This is the second time that I'm speaking to you, different podcasts, but always a blast to be able to talk to you. So I want to go ahead and get started. I know that you grew up in Hilmar. You're actually our first guest that is from the Hilmar Turlock area. So super excited to hear more about how it was growing up in Hilmar. Tell me more about it.
Yeah, no, like I said, I'm definitely happy to be back on with a podcast with you. The last time we did it was a little bit more soccer based, but growing up in Hilmar, Turlock area, we're definitely known for our agriculture. That's number one. That's the one thing you'll notice when you come out into our area, is how big agriculture is a part of not just what we're known for, but just our day-to-day life. I mean, any job here that is a significance has some sort of correlation with the world of ag. I grew up on a dairy, and my dad was, and still is today, he milks cows for a living. He's a milker. And my mom, she cleans homes. And so to this day, that's what they do. That's what they've been doing their whole entire life here as American citizens when they immigrated from the Azores Islands over to here in the 80s. And they've definitely set up the foundation for me and my sister to kind of take our own path in life and to pretty much chase our dreams. And with that, with growing up in an immigrant household and growing up on the dairy, you got to see kind of the backbone that keeps this area going, which is the world of ag. So I got to experience it firsthand, learn the values of hard work at a very young age, which is great. I think that's something that a lot of people kind of lack nowadays, unfortunately, is the fact that I got to see my parents persevere and go through tough times and get themselves out of tough times, and I got to see people deal with real life issues and persevere and get back up from being knocked down. And I saw that just because of just the lives that my parents lived with their jobs, and it was a very humbling experience growing up in this area. Growing up in this area, I feel like people are not afraid to check you. People are not afraid to be real with you, which is great because the world is not full of sunshine and rainbows. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for people keeping keeping me honest, keeping everybody else honest. But I honestly couldn't have thought of a better place to grow up than Hilmar. And this is where I live today. That's why I bought my first home, was here in Hilmar. Hilmar and Turlock, both of them, they're pretty similar. Just Turlock is a whole lot bigger than Hilmar. Hilmar's is we're at like 7,000 for our population. Turlock is a whole lot bigger than that. So Hilmar has 3 stoplights. Turlock has a little bit more than just 3. So just the differences in towns and population, but still the same values of hard work have been instilled into both communities, and I got to experience that growing up.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something else when you can grow up like in a small community, right? You get to know everyone. I was in that circumstance as well. Since you grew up around agriculture and whatnot, what differences have you noticed from like when you were younger to now? I'm sure more technology has been adopted, right? And all that, but what are some of the major differences that you notice now?
Just in the world of agriculture, I mean, there's quite a bit, even in the last 10 years, that's changed. Yet alone from my upbringing to where I'm at today. One of the things that I feel like has gone, not I feel like, but I know it's gotten a whole lot better is our conservation when it comes to water. Almonds are one of the things that needs the most water out of any crop. Almonds take up so much water, and they used to flood irrigate all the almond orchards. Now what they do is they switched over to a drip system. So that's a whole lot, it conserves a whole lot more water, which we need to, because California is in a drought at all times, I feel like. Another things that has changed is, a lot of dairies have gone to, they've either grown a substantial amount, double, tripled in size, or they've sold. A lot of dairies have gone down either path. I feel like if you're not a big time dairy, you're not surviving here in California for various reasons. And it's tough. It's, I grew up with a lot of mom and pop dairies around us, and a lot of family dairies that just had, a couple milkers, 3-4 milkers milking, somebody feeding. And that usually somebody was either a son or a daughter, or maybe even just a nephew that was helping out. A lot of these mom and pop type of dairies have all kind of unfortunately gone out of business, or have decided to sell and go into a different venture, just because how tough it's been to keep up with California as a state and their requirements and that they're putting on, and the restraints that they're putting on the California dairymen. So that's one of the major things I've definitely noticed growing up is the fact that we're still known for dairies, but it's almost become like these big monopolies that are staying alive. And my big prediction for the next 10 years is I don't think we're going to see any dairies that aren't milking at least 3,000 cows. I think anybody below that is going to be forced to sell. And it's tough. It's tough. And I just don't think we're going down the right path that's going to open up the door for more dairies to come into California. which is kind of what we're known for. So it'll be interesting to see how kind of things play out.
Yeah, that's a shame, right? That I mean, a lot of people, that's where they lived at. That's what they made a living out of. That's what they were really good at, right? And for all these things to happen, yeah, it's a shame. And we've seen it, of course, right, with other businesses too, even in our area, right? A lot of mom and pop shops just having to close down because you got the big names coming in, and it's hard to compete, right? I mean, it's one of those things where economies of scale, right? You have more, you can produce more, and it just ends up being that way. And it's an unfortunate thing, but hopefully they were all able to find other things that worked out for them, and that allows them to make a living like they used to now.
Yeah, like a lot of the smaller ones have what they've done is they've decided to rent out their facilities to other big time dairies, so they're still making a nice chunk of change. Others have decided to go away from the dairy industry and gone completely into farming. Almonds are one of the most popular things here in our area. That's what we're known for. Is our high volume of almond production in the area, and a lot of those almond orchards were dairies that decided, hey, you know what, we have 200-300 acres. Let's just go straight to almonds. It's something that seems to be not leaving us in the red, or just hasn't been so cyclical as compared to the dairy industry.
Oh yeah, and almonds are always going up in value, and you got almond milk right now, right, as well. That's rising in popularity as the years go by, and all that. So yeah, I'm glad that at least they have that option, right? It might be a different kind of milk, but it's still something that can help him make some money from that.
Yeah, I think we're even going to see even more change with the almond industry, because just with our drought, and I don't see any new infrastructure being built that would help us keep up with our water demand for almonds. So I'm going to go on a limb. I think even the almond orchards that we have today, I think we're going to start to see a good chunk of them within the next 10 to 15 years start to decline and maybe go into something else, something that doesn't require so much water. You might not be able to get the same dollar amount for it, but long term, it's going to make more sense for you to go down that route, just because how much, who's to say, where water rights are going to be at in the next 10 years if we don't get any new dams built, or any type of water infrastructure that's going to help aid the farmers and give them the water that we need. So it's interesting to see where we've evolved in the dairy industry to where now people are starting to go into almond farming. And now I believe, since there's so much people that decided to go down this route, it's interesting to see where those people are going to go at, where they're taking it next. Because like I said, almonds, they take up a mass amount of water to go into production. And I don't think we're going to have enough water to keep up with how many people are looking to farm almonds here in the near future. Yeah,
I mean, like you said earlier, with the drought, that seems like it's never ending here with us here in California. I mean, it's a scary thing. I don't know what's going to have to happen for things to change for that, but man, I just really hope that we get more rain soon. I really hope so.
Yeah, we need it. We definitely need it. Definitely need the rain.
So changing topics here, as I mentioned in the introduction, I know that you got into real estate. You're currently working for Atlantic Realty since 2016, and I know you'd mentioned that you've been full time since 2017. I was reading a little bit more about different places that you've sold properties at, and found it really interesting that you've sold properties throughout the state, not just in our area. So curious to know more about that. Tell me some stories of like properties that you've sold outside of our area.
Yeah, so I'm licensed to help people buy or sell, or both, anywhere in California. So I've done deals, as far south as the Tulare area, which is, for people who don't know where Tulare is at, it's about an hour and 15 minutes outside of Fresno. Well, actually about an hour outside of Fresno. And then as far north, I've gone just a little bit above of Sacramento to a little town called Carmichael. Not a little town, but a decent sized town in Carmichael. Done some work up there in Fair Oaks and actual Sacramento as well. Elk Grove, up out east into the Sierra foothills, into the San Andreas area, Valley Springs, and then back across the bay. I got a deal going on in Discovery Bay right now. So I'm definitely pretty versatile, but I'm versatile because I've been given these opportunities, and I've told anybody that has decided to give me an opportunity that, hey, listen, if wherever you're going, if I'm there for you. So whether it be 2 hours or 3 hours away, I will be there for you as your agent. Because when you're buying or selling a property, it's not like, I always say, it's not like you're buying shoes or selling shoes. It's a big decision. So you kind of want to make sure you're putting yourself in the right agent's hands who is looking for your best interest and your best interest only. So I've been able to establish a reputation of somebody who is just that, who does do that for his clients, and that puts his clients first. And I'm not out there chasing the dollar. I'm out there chasing success. So I've been given a lot of opportunities to explore outside of the Valley. I'm very thankful for that opportunity, and I would like to keep going. I'd like to keep going. Would love to get a couple more deals up into the Bay Area. How about some more in the Sierra foothills? Love to even go below the Grapevine, get some deals down in LA County, Orange County. To me, or to a lot of agents, that might sound a little crazy, but I'm willing to go wherever my clients need to go. So I've established that since day one, and I feel like my clients have definitely used my word and have kept me honest.
That's awesome. That you're able to just go anywhere, and your clients call you up. Hey, I got something over here, and you're right there. That's really great. Getting to explore the state, explore different pricing, right? Different situations through different counties and all that. That all sounds, I'm sure, really interesting to just see the differences, right, between selling a property here versus selling in like the Bay Area. The taxes and all that. it's all really much more different in certain areas. So that's got to be really interesting to learn all that.
Yeah, I definitely, wherever I do go, I don't go unprepared. I definitely do my due diligence and do my research in an area if I'm not too familiar with that area. I grew up kind of, going everywhere, I like to say, and knowing of different communities and one of the funny things is I grew up, I had basic cable. I didn't have satellite or anything like that growing up. So how I would find out about sports would be watching the news. There was no ESPN for me. I literally had 6 channels growing up. So I would watch the news, and I lived in Hilmar. So sometimes I would catch the Sacramento news report. Other times I'd catch the Fresno news report. I have pretty much my pick of what channels I want to get. So I got to learn about all these communities growing up. So I grew up knowing about, the rougher parts of Fresno. I grew up about the nicer parts, of Fresno, heading towards Clovis. Grew up, going and knowing about the Sacramento area and what's nice and what's not, and what's desired and what's not. So as little as kind of foolish as it may sound, I like to thank the local news for keeping me informed as a kid and for giving me the gateway to have success and know, my geography, I guess, and know my demographics that I'm going into, and know the market that I'm going into. So of course, growing up, I had friends that attended schools, and I had a couple of friends that went to Fresno State. So I definitely got to know the Fresno area. Got to learn about a whole lot more about Sacramento once I started in real estate, because I had some people that were looking to get into that market. So of course I kept myself very educated about what was going on there. So I got very familiarized with anything within an hour and a half, 2 hours away from us, and anything past that, like I said, I do my due diligence and make sure that I am very familiar prior to us even going up there for us to go look at one house.
Oh yeah, that's really good, right? Because there's a lot of differences between a lot of the cities around us, and I mean, you just have to go across the Altamont Pass or over the grapevines, and it's a whole another world out there too. Each time I go and travel over there, it's a lot different, right?
Yeah.
So walk me through how it was when you first got your first property that you sold it. Where was it at? Do you remember the price and all that? Walk me through that.
Yeah. So my first ever deal was on Berkeley Avenue here in Turlock. Berkeley Avenue is one of the nicer streets here in Turlock, and it was a condo, and it was a client that had called me. She called the office number, and the office number. So let me backtrack a little bit. So on the weekend, our office isn't open. So on the weekend, they'll cut the direct line over to an agent's phone number or to an agent's phone. So that weekend, I happened to be on what's called floor. So any calls that went into the office came straight to my phone. Both clients or any agents that were trying to get hold of other people went to my phone. So this person, they call the office, and I picked up, and they started talking to me about how their mother was looking for a condo, something small, something in a nice area here in Turlock. Well, so I said, listen, I have the perfect condo for you. It's in a great location, and it's 55 and up. Is your mom 55 and up? And she's like, well, she's 94 years old. I was like, oh, okay. So she's definitely of age to purchase in this area. So we looked at it, got to meet her mother there, and her mom had lived in the same home for 94 years. The dad built the house in Hayward.
Oh, wow.
So it was a big change for her. Definitely a big change. She bought it $250,000 cash. It was a 21-day close. We went there. It was a 21-day escrow. And we went there, I'm not even joking, about 11, 12 times. And of those times, the mom was there about 8 of those times, 7, 8 of those times, just to double check some things, double check the rooms, make sure everything looked good. She just wanted to do her research. And because it was a little bit of a big decision, she seemed, she was a little fearful about making this decision, not because she didn't trust me or anything like that, but just because when you live in a home for 94 years, it's a big change for you to go into something different. So we closed, and ever since then, I've been invited to her birthday parties. I've been invited to family get-togethers. That client and her family, we became almost like family. Like I'm in a Super Bowl poll every the squares that they do. I'm in that every single year. I was actually just at her house about a week and a half ago. She just got out of the hospital. She called me, say, hey, listen, I'm back from the hospital. If you want to swing on by, me and my daughter are here. So we just went over there and hung out with them. And it was just cool because, I told him from the get-go, I said, listen, once you are my client, you're not just a client. You're not just a check. You're not just a house. You're a friend of mine, and I'm going to treat you like more than just a friend, just like family. So if you ever need anything, I'm always here. And so for all my clients, I don't think I have a client that I haven't been able to establish a relationship outside of just being a client. I feel like every client that I've ever had considers me as a friend. They can text me, 9:30 at night, say, hey, how much is my property worth? And I won't be the type of person who's going to say, hey, text me during business hours. No, I'm just, we're friends. So I've definitely been able to establish that relationship, not just as a real estate agent, but as a friend. And I've been able to establish great relationships because of that opening door environment that I present to the general public. And my first deal was with a 94-year-old single woman that was her husband had passed, but making her first purchase at 94 years old. 1250 was the name of the house, or was the numbers of the house, I should say. And it was here on Berkeley, and that was my first ever deal. Super nervous, kind of got thrown in the lion's den, but that was we closed in October of 2016, and I got my license in June of that year. So that was my very first deal. I did take off days for about a month and a half. So that kind of put a damper and slowed things down. And I also had a part-time job at the time too, but came in October. That was my first deal.
Wow, that's really awesome, man. I'm really glad to hear that. Like you take that approach of like, you don't see them as just clientele, right? You see them more as friends and whatnot. And hey, that's the reason why you won the 209's best realtor distinction too, because I think I've seen some realtors that do take it more as a business, right? That they take that approach, but there's nothing better, and just in general, right, with anything, and especially when it comes to like customer service roles and all that, to take the approach of being friendly, of getting to know them, because like you said, right, that's one of the reasons why they end up calling you if now they're in Sacramento trying to sell this other property, right? And so it all takes time, but it's definitely really, it pays off in multiple ways, not just in the business side, but in just forming new friendships.
No, absolutely. I mean, since day one, I've been about, my slogan is invest in happiness. And a lot of people's slogan when it comes to real estate is, sold with this, or what are some other tacky ones that are, well, not tacky, but, just generic, I guess you can say, just regards this, and it has something to do with real estate. Well, mine has literally nothing to do with real estate to the outside looking in. My slogan is invest in happiness. And the reason why I chose that is because I want you to invest in the feeling of happiness when you're working with me, when you're closing with me, when you have that distinction of happiness. I want you to think of our transaction that we had together. I want you to associate happiness with your success that you had with me as an agent, either buying or selling. So at the end of the day, I mean, I'm trying to make you happy as a buyer or seller, because your happiness is my key to my success. And it has been the key to my success, because my business didn't grow overnight. It took time to get its foundation built. And, with building a reputation and by putting clients' happiness first and making them happy with getting them the home that they've always wanted, or getting them top dollar for the home, word has spread. Word has spread about me and about what I provide for my clientele. So it's definitely, I definitely take it serious as a business aspect, but I like I tell all my clients, I would never put you in a situation that I wouldn't put a family member in. So if I tell you something, I mean it.
That's good, because of course, like you said before, right? I mean, people are making a big purchase, right? And for that lady that you helped out, I mean, it was her first time. She was 94, but she wasn't, sure of what was going on, or like what the home buying process is like, which, I know can be really challenging. And there's a lot of things going on all at once, right? A lot of signing that goes on and all that. So I know how like tedious all that can be. So you definitely want someone who can, be there every step of the way and assure you, right? This is what you're signing. This is what you're signing. Don't worry. Like, this is, I'm assuring you, this is what you're signing. So you don't have to freak out over, what is it that I'm signing now and all that. And you always need that.
No, just providing a clear idea of what's being presented to the client. Something that I've done a very good job of establishing around business. And, I wouldn't send anybody or wouldn't have anybody sign anything that, I personally wouldn't feel comfortable signing myself. So I'm always up for educating. And, with that transaction, I literally read from front to back the contract, disclosures, everything that she was putting pen to paper on. She knew every single thing. And a lot of people just kind of take your word for it of what they're signing. And I still say, please go ahead and read, and then, get back to me if you have any problems. If you fully understand it, go ahead and sign it. But here's what it says. I'm going to give you the, what's the Cliff Notes? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version. This is what you're signing. This is what these next 3 pages are talking about. But I always tell people to read it, of course, and if they have any questions, they can contact me before signing. But no, just providing a clear idea of what people are getting into, and not just during escrow, but even before we start looking. I like to present a clear picture, because real estate is one of those industries that it's a different industry. What kind of other industry can you think of that somebody can work for months or years and not know if they're going to receive a paycheck at the very end? Because us real estate agents, we do not, we don't get paid unless we close. It's solely commission. So I always present a picture to my clientele that, hey, listen, I kind of need to know exactly what you're looking for. That way I can make it happen for you. And, the commitment that I'm giving, that I'm presenting to you, that you have from me, I want us to be on the same page and have you commit to me, because I know you chose me out of any other real estate agent, but I want you to be consistent with that choice. And I want you to be sure of it, because, there might be other homes that you might see another agent post on their social media page, but, please contact me first. I will reach out to that agent and I will go ahead and go over, your next step. Let me kind of take control of the reins on that. So just being clear with clientele has definitely set me apart from other real estate agents. I'll say that. So
I got to ask this question because I've seen it in your bio before, and I'm really curious to hear the story, but I know you've been, or you still do, the Earthquakes play-by-play. Can you tell me more about how did that opportunity come about, and how's that like for you?
Yeah, so I've been doing it since 2015, and my first game was, I think it was in May of 2015. Because I was still at my old job, and I remember leaving work early to that game. So May of 15, and I joined a radio station at the time called PAMA, Portuguese America Media Association. And what PAMA was a radio station that provided music for the older generation, the older Portuguese generation, as well as the younger Portuguese generation. We had programs that were built around people in the community, or built by the people in the community, younger people in the community. And we had just programming Monday through Friday going on. And it grew substantially. And today it's still pretty relevant. But one of the things that Palma was doing, and did it for a year prior to me joining, was they were doing the broadcast in Portuguese of the San Jose Earthquakes games. All home games were being done by Palma. So what I did was I joined on, and I joined Palma first, and then I got offered the opportunity to join the broadcast. And I was super big on the Quakes, and I decided, I'm going to go for it. And I speak Portuguese fluently, but it's a different level of Portuguese from speaking it from me to you, and then speaking it on the air to the people that are listening. Sometimes you get hundreds, sometimes you get thousands of people listening on. It just depends on the game. So I got thrown into the wolves a little bit. My first game, I remember getting back. I went to the media area just to get starting lineups. And I come back into the booth, and they're on air, and they literally give me a headset and say, "Hey, go ahead and introduce yourself. You're gonna be taking over, as color commentary." I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, you're gonna go ahead and do color today." Like, what? Like, okay. So I literally got thrown at the wolves there and stuttered and messed up a bunch of words, I'm sure, looking back. But ever since then, we've been doing all the home games. This year, or last year, was our first time that we missed games because of COVID. This year, we've done most of the games just because they were a little restrictive in the beginning. So it took us a while to get back into the group of things. But I've been doing it since 2015, and I love doing it. I love presenting the game to the Portuguese community in the Portuguese language. It's something that's definitely helped my Portuguese a whole lot more. And we have quite a bit of a following, and I know that the Earthquakes, they now have 2 Brazilian players that are from Brazil that are playing with the team, and that helps out a lot too with us doing the broadcast. We're able to get people from Brazil to listen to us because they want to know how our 2 Brazilian players are doing, or their 2 Brazilian former teammates are doing. So we've been able to establish a large fan base in Brazil, and I'm just lucky to be a part of that.
Wow, that's really awesome that they're able to also listen, and now your 1,000 listeners are now a lot more, right? I mean, just considering
Yeah.
the size of Brazil.
Yeah, I know we've definitely grown. It started out with just a couple hundred listeners, and then all of a sudden it just, we started adding up and adding up and adding up, started getting a little bit of steam. So it's also opened up the door for other franchises to reach out to us. And, we've had the opportunity to get in talks with, with the Sharks and with the Giants about calling some of their games in Portuguese. But in reality, I just don't think the fan base is quite there yet in the Portuguese community for hockey or for baseball. Also, I'm a firm believer in it's either you're all in or you're not, and we don't have the team to do all baseball games and all hockey games, and we might have to pick and choose. But then again, that's something that we have thought about exploring is maybe going to a different. Maybe we do a couple special games, or maybe we do one because they both franchises do Portuguese Heritage Night. Maybe we do present Portuguese Heritage Night via play-by-play on the radio to the fans that are listening in. So, it's definitely opened up some doors. Got to meet some awesome people because of that. Got to meet some well-known soccer players, of course, and got to establish relationships that are still alive today because of it.
Nice. That's really awesome. When you do those things and then you get the additional benefits of getting to know the players and whatnot. Well, I wouldn't have a podcast interview with you without mentioning our good old Academica, which, in my opinion, the 209's team, and not just with the jersey, which I always tell you that it's an amazing design. I mean, you got all the 209 represented on that jersey, and if y'all haven't checked that out, go check out their website. I don't know if you guys still have it for sale, but
we're pretty limited on our stock for jerseys. That was actually one of the first things that went. I think pretty much all the jerseys that we have available are going to be available this coming Saturday at our playoff match against Oakland. But yeah, I've been involved as a general manager for the last 2017 is when I took the role and joined the board, and my title became general manager. And yeah, I know I've been around the club for years. Started out with going to train there. I was just playing Sunday league. I was never really a great player by any means, but soccer was my secondary sport. I played football growing up, but then I switched over to soccer just because couldn't keep playing football. So I switched over to soccer after going to JC and playing football there. So I decided to switch over to soccer and started kind of learning more about just the area and Academica. I've always known about Academica because I grew up going to church at Our Lady of Assumption. So I've always known about Academica. And I always thought Academica was just like, such a high level organization. And I'd always wanted to go out and train with them, but I was always just skeptical and scared and never wanted to get myself out there just because they're going to wreck me. They're just not wreck me, but they're just going to, they're going to drill me. You got all these guys that have been playing traveling soccer, or some of the guys have played professionally. They're out there training with the team, and there comes this kid who just picked up a soccer ball just a couple weeks ago. I felt like, so I just trained here solo, and actually developed into somebody who got to know a whole lot about the game, and never very, very good. But it came to the time where I was actually training with another team, and the coach kicked me and another player out and told us that we couldn't come back for 3 weeks. And the reason being is because they were going to play our Sunday league team, and we're going to play you guys. So, we can't, I don't want you guys here at practice with us just because I don't want you guys to know what we're doing. So what happened was I decided, you know what, I'm not going to sit at home these next 3 weeks. I'm going to train. So I called up a buddy of mine, and we we decided to, hey, I'm gonna go to Academica, and he didn't want to go with me, so I was like, I'll go solo. So I went out there and I went to one practice, and that was the end of it. It was such a different experience than what I thought I was going to be. I learned, that's where I learned how to play soccer is by going out to Academica. And, just the players are great. The coaching staff was great. They, instead of trying to ridicule me for maybe messing up, I'd have people stop practice and say, hey, listen, they'd pull me off to the side and say, this is what you're doing. This is what we need you to do. Or this is what, this is where you've gone wrong. This is what I would do if I'm you. It was definitely a learning experience, but it was a good learning experience. It made me fall in love with the game even more. So, that was early 2010s, I guess we could call it. That's when I was out there, and I got in shape one year, actually made it onto the team, played a couple tournaments with the team, 2016. And then I just was playing Sunday league, at the end of 2016, up until the beginning of 2017, stopped playing soccer in 2017 just because real estate got pretty busy, and I got invited to be a part of the board that year. So ever since then, I went from practice player to, this guy's actually going to play some tournaments with us, and to now this guy's not going to play at all, but he's going to be part of the team in a different way and on the board because, they have their ideas as to why they want to bring me on. But anyway, I'm happy. I'm happy to be on, and it's been a wild ride. It's crazy to see where we've taken the club and where it's gone in such a short time frame, and where it's going to be going in the near future.
That's awesome. I mean, you don't always hear those stories, right? Of getting to be in the front office, right, of a soccer team, and it's really great to hear those things. And like I just mentioned earlier, like this Academica soccer team is truly the 209's biggest team. I know we have other teams and whatnot, but the things that you guys are doing to like put the name out there, I know in Turlock, right, just going to Stan State myself, I would go by downtown Turlock quite often and see all your signs that you guys had put up and all that, and the marketing that you guys are doing was really great, and you were reaching people all throughout the city, and I would always see ads for you guys and all that. So yeah, great stuff. And hopefully more things that more cities start to pick up, because I think we have a lot of interesting cities here in the 209 that could also have a good team and give you guys more competition, I guess, too. But yeah, I mean, hopefully more and more cities pick that up, and we start seeing some teams like get to your level in Modesto, because that is my hometown, and we definitely have the size to have a team and different places and venues and all that. And, it's all about growing the sport. And that's one way to do it, right? Is to have more teams like your team all across the 209.
Yeah. I mean, I'm up for the growth of the game. The only thing is what I would challenge is it has to be done the right way. There's been a lot of teams that have tried to join the NPSL in our area. There's about 5 teams that are trying to join the NPSL, but are now in the UPSL. And the reason why they didn't get into the NPSL is because the NPSL did not allow them to get into the NPSL, because structurally the organization wasn't the right fit for the NPSL to take on. Also, it doesn't make sense for them to put another NPSL team right next door to where we're at or within 10 miles away from us. So it just didn't make a whole lot of sense for the NPSL to take somebody on. And just they vet everybody. And that's something that, we're proud that we're the only NPSL team. And at one point, we will have another NPSL team in Modesto or in Merced, just because the community is going to keep growing. So there's going to be room for 2. And I think there will be, in the next 10 years, I think we'll see another NPSL team, and hopefully they're able to provide a great product both on and off the field. But we're, whether or not there's another team, we're still looking to dominate the area and present ourselves as a community scene, both on the field and off. Notice our name isn't Turlock Academica; it's Academica, and we literally represent the Valley. And it's been that since 1972. We've had players from Sacramento all the way down to Fresno drive to be a part of this team, to drive to be a part of this club. So when we say we're the Valley's team, and we mean it. The 209, that's our home. That's why it's on our jerseys. But we look to represent the whole valley because we have players that are doing so right now with us and have so in the past. So, I definitely welcome more competition. I think there will be more competition. From what I'm hearing, there's another 2 UPSL teams that are going to be coming out and playing in Turlock. So that'll be a total of 3 UPSL teams, which doesn't make any sense in my opinion, because I get that the league is trying to make money off of these people that are looking to fill the team, but at the same time, why are you diluting the product? If you're trying to compete against other leagues, why are you doing that to yourself? Why? Because just look at this past pandemic year. What they've done to the league, they've literally accepted anybody with a pulse, and I have no problem saying that to anybody. And it just, when you're trying to compete against other leagues, you shouldn't be doing that. You should try to take pride in who you're accepting, and try to make sure that you put yourself in a position to accept teams that are going to compete on the field, that are looking to make a difference in the community, that are not just going to be there, just to show up, put on a jersey, play, and leave. So that's where, I kind of, what's my idea or what I think of opening up the door. The door is always open for a competition, but let's do it the right way. And one of my other pet peeves also that I've ran into is other teams telling players that are going to college not to play college, because if they go play for them, they can get them a professional contract, which is obviously a lie, because no professional team is going to go scout somebody on a Sunday at a neighborhood park. That doesn't happen. This isn't England. This isn't England 4th, 5th division. You're not playing at a community park and getting scouted by somebody who's out, Division 2 or Division 1. So it's just, like I said, if teams are willing to do it the right way and they're honest about what they're doing and they're looking to actually make a difference, then I'm all open for doors to, or I'm open for the doors to be open for other teams to be a part of our soccer community here in the Valley.
Yeah, and we have an amazing soccer community, and more players, right, interested in playing the game as time has gone by. And Academica needs a good local rivalry, in my opinion, right?
We're supposed to have Stockton. Stockton was supposed to join, and then their owner pulled out, or sorry, their investor pulled out because they didn't trust the front office. That's real talk. And the owner told the NPSL, and the NPSL told us, in fact, or sorry, the investor told the NPSL that they were not going to move forward, and the NPSL then relayed the facts over to us. So with that being said, like I said, if we're going to do things the right way, I'm all open for having a 209 derby, or having a team play us from Fresno, or wherever it may be. I'm all in for a local derby, because I still believe that we still have the best product with or without a team nearby us. But yeah, it's just like I said, it has to be done the right way, and there has to be good reasons behind it. You can't just be fielding a team just because you want to compete against us, or because you're looking to piggyback on the success we've had here in the community. That doesn't make sense.
Oh yeah, especially considering that you guys have been around for a really long time, which is a really hard feat for any team. I mean, just in general, right? Just any sporting franchise, it's hard to keep up and be around for so long, and you guys have done it, and that's really awesome. And I'm really glad that you guys are getting to be known even more out there, right? You're still inviting people to come out and all that. And if anyone hasn't seen their games, I mean, you guys, I know we say, right, that you guys are the Valley team and all that because you're in the Valley, but you are literally the Valley team because you play right next to our foundation, right? Our agricultural fields, and you have all that background, and it's just so awesome where you guys chose to play at. Like, I gotta say, it was a perfect venue for a Valley team. Yeah,
we own our own facility, which is nice. Well, I'll rephrase it. So the church owns the facility. We rerun it. We maintain it. We pretty much just say, hey, listen, you guys take care of whatever on that side, and you guys, the facility is yours. So legally speaking, the church is the one that owns it, but we're the ones who take control of maintaining it. I think another reason why the church just pretty much gave it to us is like there's so much to maintain there. So they said, hey, if you guys are willing to take the bill, we'll just pretty much give it to you guys. So no, we have our own facility, which is a nice key component to our success. We provide a natural grass pitch, and I'll go on record saying we have the nicest field in the valley. There's not a single field that will be better than our field, and I think our field will rival even Papa Murphy's or PayPal Park in both respectives. We have a great pitch, especially come summertime. Summertime, it's I think it's cherry. I think it's like a carpet. But our little facility seats about 700 people, and we have full snack bar. We have our own little supporters group, which is nice too. It's in a cool environment. We had the opportunity to host international friendlies. We've hosted the U.S. Open Cup there with ESPN broadcasting there in Turlock and Academica Field. So it's like you said, it's definitely a valley feel to it because of where the location's at, but it's home to us, and it's been the host of a lot of great events throughout the years, and looking forward to what the next 50 years bring to the club.
Awesome. Well, Michael, thank you so much for being on the show tonight. I really enjoyed all these conversations, and we could talk soccer like forever as we did on my other podcast. And it's always, like I said, really amazing to hear all the stories, and especially someone from your background that you literally grew up in the area. You grew up near the Academica field too. And I mean, home is right there. And it's just awesome to hear stories like that, and to hear that you're still at home. And we hear more and more stories here in the valley, right, of people who we just can't leave the valley because it's an amazing place, really.
Yeah, I feel like the valley is an area where you grow up in, and a lot of people want to leave once they hit 17, 18 years old. They want to go out and they want to leave the valley. They want to go to SoCal. They want to go to North. They want to go into the Bay Area. They want to go experience something else, but then they end up coming back too, because they realize once you go away, you don't really realize it until you're gone. You don't really realize how special the valley is until you're away from it. And this day, I mean, here in Turlock and Hilmar, you can still go outside and play. Like if you're a kid, you can still go outside and play, and still walk the streets. You can have you have that old traditional town feel, and that sense of community. It's here in the Turlock Hilmar area. So it's something that I definitely don't take for granted. And it's a reoccurring little gig. If people leave and they come back to settle down here and grow a family, because what other better place than here, right here in smack in the middle of the valley, which is Turlock or Hilmar.
Yeah, and you know what? I get homesick even just traveling. If I'm somewhere like in SoCal for like 2 or 3 days in a row, I'm just like, I want to go back already. I'm done with this city traffic and all that stuff.
No, it gets pretty home it gets pretty missed when you're far away.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much, Michael. Good luck with your real estate business, and also with Academica. I hope to see you guys winning the championship this year.
Awesome. Thanks, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you again to Michael for being on this podcast, for being again on another podcast of mine. Really enjoyed the conversation, hearing all of his stories as a real estate agent. Really, really interesting stuff. I haven't had the chance to speak to much agents in the valley, so it's always really interesting to hear how things are going with them here in the valley. And of course, as we all know, the house market is booming. There's houses being built almost in every corner, it seems like. And so it's a great time right now to be a real estate agent. And of course, if you do decide to be one, I hope that you learned a lot from listening to Michael on how you should be like as a real estate, because everyone is making a big purchase, right? I mean, it's not just like buying some shoes at your local shoe store. You're buying a big time thing, and it's something that is really important. So you definitely want someone that you can trust and that you can believe that they are going to have your best interest in mind all throughout the way as well. Also, it was really awesome to hear his stories growing up in the Valley. And it's something really great for all of us, I think, who grew in the Valley to be able to talk about our stories, because we are in a unique situation. I always like to say this, right? Versus anyone else who might live in the Bay Area and Southern California and Northern California. It's a whole different story here living in the Valley. And, one of my favorite things, and we mentioned it earlier as well, is just how peaceful it can be here. And as Michael was saying, right, you can still go outside and talk to your neighbors, and there's still that small community feel, especially where he's from Hilmar. And those are things that are more and more getting lost in the cities. And I mean, even here in Modesto, where I'm from, it's more and more starting to get lost. But thankfully, we still have those communities in our valley, like in Hilmar and certain parts of Turlock as well, that still have that, because it's really awesome to be able to stay right, that all your neighbors, that you can be outside and it's really calm and you don't have to deal with a lot of traffic and all that. And really great stuff to have that. And we're pretty fortunate here in the Valley to be able to say that. So really interesting stuff. And of course, with Academica Soccer Club, as we just talked about, that is an awesome example of how a sports franchise is run here in the Valley. I always like to say at the end of every episode, but thank you so much to everyone who took the time out of their busy schedule to tune into the show tonight, and also to tune into the past shows that we've had here on the podcast. And if you haven't tuned in and this is your first time that you're tuning in, we've actually had the guy I started podcasting with, and really the reason why I think now I have 5 podcasts that are ongoing. I've had my favorite math teacher, who actually got to be on the Ellen show 3 times. And of course, she is, in my opinion, the 209's best math teacher. And there's a lot of reasons, and I think I have a lot of evidence to prove that. And you can listen to the episode and you'll find out why I say that. And then, of course, in the last episode before this one, I actually interviewed Modesto's mayor, Sue Zwallen. It was really great being able to interview her here on the podcast. And we had an interesting conversation about her campaign, and also about how it was growing up here in the Valley and her nursing career, and as well as her time in the board of the Modesto City Schools District as well. Great. Well, have a great day, everyone. Thank you again so much for listening to the show today. And you will hear me next Tuesday here on the 209 Journey podcast. Have a great day, everyone.